Hey, what's up, guys? It's the Catalyst47 here, back with another video. So, guys, I know, I said in my last video that I would try to post once a week, and yes, that technically is what I want to do. But I know I didn't post last week, so basically, I got laid off last week from my job, guys. So I've just been a little bit busy trying to decide what I'm gonna do and like getting stuff ready. And there's been a few plans here and there that I've had that kind of interfered with what I wanted to do, because that did catch me by surprise. But it's not too big of a deal. I mean, I'm just gonna keep looking for a new job, and yeah. But I did think, like, originally I was like, okay, now that if I don't have a job right now, then it should be easier to make more YouTube videos. But at the same time, I did try to record a video last week with like the combo, or not a combo, it's more like playing the video I told you guys about playing through hand traps and all that with the Dragon Link deck. But the thing is, unlike the regular Dragon Link that uses Hockey Fibrax and Link Cross, with this version of the deck, you really can't, like, just with like 2 cards, you really can't play like through. I guess that's what's, even with the regular Dragon Link, actually, can you? Well, either way, like, it's kind of hard to really just showcase how to play through hand traps with that, especially with the one I have, with the Dragon Link deck that I have, because like I said, I don't have Christian Hockey Fibrax and Link Cross, which make it easier to play through hand traps. But at the same time, I have to like completely rig my hand. Like, I can't just like be like, oh, okay, like if I get a random hand, like, so some hands they could play through for sure. Like, playing through 1 is pretty simple, but like, I know the deck can sometimes play through 2 or 3, but it's just those require very specific hands. So I'm probably gonna have to like completely rig the hands, show you guys how with certain cards you can make it work. But that's basically what I want to tell you guys. Just and I tried making the video, and I just like I tried doing it with like 3 cards, but I was like, no, this is not gonna work. I need like a full hand to really showcase how you can play through hand traps. So I was working on it. It wasn't working too well, and I had to scrap the video. So I kind of wasted my time there, which kind of sucks. But I am gonna still make the video now that I have a better idea of how to do it. But that's basically what happened last week. Like, I mean, I got laid off, and then I did try to make a video, but it wasn't working. And I still didn't have the last card I needed for the main deck on my Burning Abyss, but now I do. So this is what I'm going to show you guys today. Like I said, again, sorry for not posting last week, even though I just said it in my last video. But yeah, guys, I'm going to show you guys my Burning Abyss deck profile now that I have the full main deck. The only thing missing is 2 cards. Wait. Technically, it is 2 cards, one in the extra deck, and then, okay, it's not the complete main deck but I'm just replacing, this build can work. It's not like, oh gosh, it's like, without this card deck, it was not gonna work. It's just, it's just that, you really, like, the replacements are just, weaker versions of the main card you need. But I just don't have the main cards because they're too expensive, and I'm just like, can't be bothered to spend that kind of money right now, especially when I just lost my job. So, but like I said, for you guys, I am giving y'all like budget options, and there are a few more cards. I'm gonna go explain it when I'm going through the deck. There are a few cards where I would probably use other cards that are, of course, better, but again, they're just too expensive to buy. So yeah, guys, I'm just gonna show you guys this quick BA deck profile. Now that Steer and Graph are at 2 and Tour Guide is at 3. I know it's been a long time coming. It's already been like a month since the Banlist came out. But yeah, I've just been working on getting the cards, and then eBay, with like, it's been so slow at, you know, getting all the stuff delivered sometimes. So can't really do much about that. But yeah, guys, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, guys, so let's get started with the deck profile. So I'm going to show you guys, this is going to be a 40 card deck. Like I told you guys, I will explain exactly what I'm thinking of when going through these, in terms of like the ratios and all that stuff, and certain cards you could replace and all that. So to start off the deck profile, we got have 2 Graph. I mean, of course, this card just got brought back to 2. That's a special summon of Burning Abyss, so really good to bring a card out from the deck. I think it's mandatory to play at 2. Same with Double Seer. Now this is really, really good. Like, this is probably the best BA monster just because it's so good to recycle with Dante. These 2 cards just loop each other so well. And I mean, it doesn't have to be Dante, it could be any other Burning Abyss monster. You can just bring it back from the graveyard. So really good card. Definitely needed to be bumped up to 2. Honestly, I think even more so, like if they had just brought Seer back to 2 instead of Graph, like no Graph to 2, then I would have been fine with that. That helped the deck a lot. Then I got 2 Libic. I decided to up Libic to 2 just because I feel like it's gonna like come more into play now that you really want to be able to have like a BA when you don't have like if your tour guide gets stopped, but if you still have like a Libic in hand and you can get it to the graveyard and get another BA, or if it's in the deck and you can get it to the graveyard and you have another BA in the hand, then the fact that it's the BA's effects are negated that are special summoned by this card's effect, it's really good because that means you can still have, like, even if maybe like tour guide or some other card gets stopped that's not a BA, you can still bring out more BAs without them dying. And so then we got, I decided to cut this card down to 2. Well, firstly because of space, and then secondly because, I mean, Farfa is still really good interruption. I just don't think you really need to open it. So like, if you have 3, you're like gonna open it a lot of times. So it's not really like the best one to open. So I just think having it at 2 is good. You're still able to like send it with Beatrice or get it into the graveyard with like other cards. So it's not too bad like to have it at 2. I do wish I could keep it at 3. I mean, I think it's a very good interruption, and you want to have, like, for the grind game, you want to have multiples, but you got to compromise somewhere. Like, you need space in the deck. Then we got the 1 Barbar. I mean, burn damage. It's pretty good to be on time. The 1 Calcab. I decided to keep Calcab because, like, originally I thought about taking it out and just having the 3rd Farfa or a 2nd Absolute King Backjack, but I was like, no, you really want to have different, like, a good amount of BAs in the deck because you want to draw at least 2 in your opening hand, to be honest, especially with different names, because you want to be able to go into like Dante or Beatrice like first turn. So yeah, you really do need the different names. Like we still got the 1 Alec. Again, another card that I thought about maybe cutting out, but I was like, no, we really do need the BA names. And last but not least, this is the one I decided to still keep at 3. Triple Scarm. Again, another card I thought about cutting to 2. Like, this could have been like, I could have swapped the places for like Scarm and Farfa. Like have 2 Scarm and 3 Farfa. But this card, I just feel like this card is really, like, you might think, okay, you can just send it with other cards like Fiend Griefing or like Beatrice or something like that and get the effect on the end phase, but it's still fine to open up with this card. Firstly, because you, again, like I said, you want a good amount of BAs because you want to open a good amount of them to be able to. Because with 1, you can't really do 1 if you just open up 1 BA. So yeah, but Triple Scarm because like you're running 3 tour guides now. So if you don't have tour guide in your hand or something, like you really want to open up Scarm so you can on the end phase search a tour guide, and it's just so good. So I still think running 3 is the right number. Then we got the non-BA but good support for BAs. Triple Tour Guide. This card is at 3 now. I mean, this card, it is good that it's at 3 for the deck. Adds more consistency, but I mean, this card is like a hand trap magnet. So you have to be kind of careful when you play this card or how you use it, because if you start off with this card and if you have other options in your hand, so a lot of times if this card gets hand trapped, you can't summon BAs anymore because they're just going to destroy themselves. So it's not really ideal. So you have to be really good at using this card, like knowing when to use it. So, but still, I think running it at 3 is still, of course, the correct choice. It's really good not to run at 3. Then I decided to cut the Fiendish Rhino Warrior to 2. Now that 2 guys at 3, I think having 2 of this card is fine. Don't think you need 3. Like, that's too many normal summons, in my opinion. And honestly, you just wanted to be able to either summon with Tour Guide or you wanted to send with like Beatrice or something like that. You don't. I mean, it's fine to open it, but it's not. It's not like you don't really have to open it. So I think 2 is fine. And then the one Absolute King Backjack. I thought about bumping this card to 2 just because you do have a good amount of traps in this deck, and it's pretty good. Like being able to stack your deck and then interrupting your opponent on their turn. But you really don't want to open this card if you don't like, if you want to try to minimize the chance of opening it. So I think just 1 is fine. I might test out 2 in the future, but we'll see. Now going into the hand traps, Triple Ash Blossom, most generic hand trap. This is one of the cards that I was telling you guys is probably a budget option. If I had them, I would replace the Ash Blossoms with Triple Forbidden Droplet, but that card is like $85, $90 a piece right now. So screw that, man. But yeah, this is Ash Blossom. Just, it's a good replacement. I mean, it's an okay replacement for Forbidden Droplet. Not the best, of course, but I don't want to run Gamma because I don't like having to have like the driver is a complete brick. And even then, even Gamma, it's really only good going like first, going second, and on your first turn is really only good because you have no cards on the field. So yeah, I think Ash Blossom is just better, and as a replacement for Forbidden Droplet. But yeah, if you have Forbidden Droplet, like run that instead. That card is so good in this deck because lets you discard and it lets you and it negates like I think monster effects or something. So really good card. And then we got Triple Veiler. This card I would still keep. It's a light monster, and well, I guess that doesn't really matter too much in this version. But Effect Veiler is pretty good. I think it's fine. Not once per turn. Negates monster effects. Most cards right now are monster effects anyways. So Triple Effect Veiler, I think it's a pretty good card. Now getting into the traps, we got Triple Paleozoic Dynamiscus. Really good card. It doesn't discard for cost, so if it gets negated, you don't have to discard. And when it's in the graveyard, you can just, and if you activate another trap card, you can special summon this or bring this card back as a monster to your side of the field. So pretty good. I am thinking about it, not sure yet, of cutting this card to 2. So maybe adding something else, I'm not sure. But for now, I think 3 is fine. It's good to use with like Trap Trick, or it's good to draw it. Okay, this guys is one of my other budget options. I know I had this one as a budget option in the last video too. So Triple Lost Wind. This is supposed to be Imperm. Of course, Imperm is just so good because you can activate it from your hand. That's the biggest reason why Imperm. But this card's still really good too. I mean, you get 2 uses out of it, and not only does it negate a special summon monsters effect, it has his attack. So sometimes this card's even better than Imperm in my opinion. The only one thing that sucks compared to Imperm is that you cannot activate it from your hand. But this card's still really good. Negates the monster effect, half its attack. And then if it's in the graveyard and your opponent summons special summons a monster from the extra deck, you can bring this card back from the graveyard. Just banish it when it leaves the field. So that's really good. But if you have Imperm, yeah, just run Imperm. Then we got 2 Karma Cut. This card is just really good. This one is like Dynamiscus, just that it banishes it discards for cost. So even if it gets negated, you have to discard. But that's not all bad, just because if you like discarding BAs, you can get their effects, so it could be good. And it banishes monsters from whatever monster you banish. If your opponent has more copies in the graveyard, they all get banished. So this card's really good against, especially against certain types of decks, like maybe like against Eldritch, Salamangreat. So pretty solid card, honestly. But I think Dynamiscus is better, so that's why I'm running this card at 2, not 3. Then this is one of the cards I added in. Double Ice Dragon's Prison. This card is very good, like very good interruption. Being able to, it doesn't target. You can basically get rid of 2 cards from your opponent, one from the graveyard and one on the field. So super good. I think 2 is fine. the reason I have all my hand traps at least at, I mean all my traps at least at 2 is because of trap trick. So yeah. Then double fiend griefing. I cut this card down to 2 just to make more space on the deck, and it's a good card. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't think it's as good as some of the other cards. Like, I just feel like banishing cards is so much better. That's why I'm running the Karmika, Dynamiscus, and the Ice Dragon's Prison. But this card can be good too. It just feels like it's just a little bit situational that your opponent has to have a monster in the graveyard. So like you can't. A lot of times going first, it's a little hard to use, or you have to be smart. So there's some cards you don't even want to put back in your opponent's deck. So you gotta be careful with it. But yeah, running at 2 is fine. I don't think you really need it at 3. And then the last 2 cards in the deck, double trap trick. Sometimes I do think about putting this card up to 3, but this card is only once per turn. So if you draw multiples, like one of them is kind of useless. So I don't think running 3 is the right number. Yeah, so I think 2 is fine. Especially when the deck's only 40 cards. If I was playing like 43, 44 cards, I would probably add in the third one, just because then it's like you really do want to try and it's a lower chance you're gonna draw 2, and you want a higher chance of drawing it. But with 40, I think just 2 is fine. If anything, I'll probably cut the third Dynamiscus and put in the third trap trick if I feel like I'm not seeing it enough. But for now, we're running it at 2. Now going into the extra deck, we got 1 Beatrice. I mean, it's honestly like the best card in the extra deck, to be honest. Really good card. It's only at 1, so not much we can do about that. Double Dante. I don't feel like you ever need 3. 2 has... I never feel like I needed a third one, so I think 2 is fine. Yeah, pretty... That's like the main extra deck monster for the deck, and it recycles super well with Seer. Gets all your mills going, gets cards in the graveyard, so really good card. Then we got 1 Levier. Yeah, this card is just good to have in case, like, maybe bring back your Backjack or bring back a Seer if they both get banished. So, just there for that. Then the other Dante, Pilgrim of the Burning Abyss. I guess BA is still not like a meta deck, so I would say it's just a rogue deck, even with the buffs they got. So it kind of sucks, but it could be good at the same time because people are still not really expecting to play this deck too often. So a lot of times your Beatrice does get its effect to be able to special summon this card out. But yeah. Then we got... Okay. I'm running 1 Avermax. This deck's not... It's not hard to go into Avermax with this deck because you have IP. So, especially if you use IP to summon this guy. That's so good. So we got 1 Avermax. Then we got... Okay, this card is probably going to become something else. I'm just running this card around in the meantime. Topologic Bomber Dragon. It has the good interaction. Same with like Zeroboros. Same with Trisbania. Like where you can... If you summon it and you bring out a BA to the zone, you get its effect to destroy everything on the field. But this card's probably going to be Access Code Talker in the future. This is my other... I guess this is a budget option. Access Code Talker is just so good, and it's not that difficult to bring out in this deck. So, yeah, this is going to be Access Code Talker when I get it eventually. Then we got the 1 Zeroboros. Really good card. Like, being able to like bring back... If you bring Skarm out to one of these zones, the way it works is Skarm will first destroy itself, and then Zeroboros will trigger to banish everything on the field. So you'll get the Skarm effect, which is really good. And it's a really good way to clear everything on the field besides itself. 1 Trisbania. It's a good link 3 to climb into, and it can help against like Eldritch to banish all the spell and trap cards. Then we got the Nightmare package: Unicorn, Phoenix, and Cerberus. I mean, this deck can go into these 3 like super easily because of IP, and it's just good interruption on your opponent's turn. So not much to be said about these. Bounces a card, gets rid of spell or trap. Can get rid of a monster that has, or an effect monster. So, yeah. Really good interruptions. The 1 IP, honestly, this card is probably like the second or third best card in the extra deck. It's good interruption on your opponent's turn. 1 Cherubini. I mean, this card just helps you get your plays going. Especially if you don't want to go into Dante, you can just go into this guy and just keep extending your plays from there. And then last but not least, the 1 Gravity Controller. This card is just good to be able to out like monsters in the extra monster zone. It can get rid of like almost anything, so I think it's just good to have just in case. But that's it, guys. I mean, that's it for the BA deck. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I tried to explain everything as best as I could without taking too long. Like I said, my budget options, if I had the money, I would replace the Ash Blossoms with Forbidden Droplets, and I would replace the Lost Winds with Imperms. So, yeah, that's probably, yeah, and I guess the Access Code Talker. So, those are probably the only changes I would make if I had the money to do it. But if you guys can afford it, go ahead. I think those cards will make the deck even better. But I think this budget version is still a pretty solid deck, honestly. It's not... I've tested it a couple times. I mean, I will admit that against meta decks, yeah, you lose more than you win. But you can win against meta decks too. It's just... And this deck is more like of my fun deck, to be honest. I really liked playing the deck. It's pretty... I never actually played it when it was at full power. Because I know B8 was out when I was still playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in like 2014, 2015. But I know back then the deck was super expensive because it was one of the meta decks and all the cards were, yeah, it was just pretty expensive deck. So I never ran it before. But I did hear about it, of course. I never even faced it either, so I never really knew exactly what the theme of the deck was, like what its goal was. But right now that I know how the deck runs and everything, and with Link Monsters, yeah, it's a pretty fun deck, slightly competitive, and it's not too crazy expensive if you don't want like the highest competitive version of the deck. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this little deck profile. I expect more videos coming out soon, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.